Um, I'd like to begin by roll call of the members that are here. Andy,
Here.
Dana's not here. Andrea,
Here.
Kevin,
Yes, sir.
Anthony.
Here.
Okay, and Roger's here. Did everybody get a chance to read the meeting minutes of 10/15/2024?
Yes. The very well-developed, well-written minutes.
Very
You
nice.
guys are just
Thank
saying
you,
that because
Andrea.
you want me to
No,
do
we
it
love
again.
you. No, don't ever stop.
What you call it, the joy actually to see some of that.
Yeah. So I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Excellent. Thank you. So
Was that Andy who seconded?
it was Andy.
Okay.
So now, do I have to do a roll call for each one, Steve? Is that the protocol these days? Or
For each one,
for each vote?
I don't know, honestly, it's minutes, so I don't,
Yeah, I know. I'm going to say that's unanimous for everybody. Thank you very much.
Aye.
Aye. And okay, now, do you want to take some things out of order? Steve, may we make a slight change to this so that Andy
Sure.
can talk about the dock? I think that's way more important use of his time.
it's your meeting, you can do this any way you want.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'd like to take it out of order and talk about the dock. I hope you all got to look at the picture of the dock and its increased size, and apparently we need to tell, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, we need to tell Foth by a vote that we approve of this new increased size, correct?
Correct. We also need to let them know that we're accepting the increased size and we are not going to be pulling them out for the winter. So the main float will stay in.
Right, correct. Okay, so anybody have any discussion or questions about, I assume you get the plan and looked at it? It's going to be nice. It's going to be very nice, very big. It's going to be,
Motion to approve.
okay, any second on that?
I didn't have any questions, no. Second.
Okay, thank you. So it's been voted for. And again, I'll just take a roll call vote for this one. Andy in favor?
Yeah, I think it looks great.
Okay, Andrea
Yep.
and Kevin
Yes.
and Anthony
Yes.
and Roger is a yes, so that's unanimous. So we can tell them, Steve, that we voted for it. It's on the record, and we do approve the larger size and leaving that right in. I think that's a good thing. All right, so that was my one quick thing. Thank you very much, Andy. I understand you got a big meeting. If you want to jump off, because now we're going to switch back to number 3 on our agenda list, which is the DEP. If you want to stick around for a few minutes, or if you got to go, I totally understand.
I'll stick around for a couple minutes and I'll just hop off when I need to get off.
Thank you very much. So number 3, I would say DEP request to join the citizens petition to revise the Mass DEP solid waste regulations. So joining us today, thank you, is Chris Michaud. Thank you, Chris, for showing up. And Chris, maybe give us just the shortest introduction, a brief, succinct view that you want in this draft petition and why the Waterways should sign it, why it's important for us, where everything flows down into our harbor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. For the record, Christopher Michaud, Director of Public Health. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
great.
Thank you. So I'm not sure if you got the entirety of the cover letter and the accompanying regulations that have been proposed by various boards at this point, including the Select Board, the Board of
Yes.
Health, the Board of Public Works, and the Conservation Commission.
Yes.
Thank you. So just to give a little bit of background, I recently discovered that Mass DEP has a set of regulations, 310 CMR 2. Those regulations allow for any person to make a petition to Mass DEP to propose changes to their regulations in any capacity, which could include revising and even rescinding. So I approached the select board about this earlier in the fall, and there were several meetings in which I attended in which we discussed this. At one of those meetings, as the conversations were wrapping up and finalizing, Chairman McDonald requested other boards and commissions of the town that had a land use or environmental functionality to consider signing on to the petition to show unity in recognition of the concern about the Mass DEP regulations, particularly 310 CMR 1600, that provide for large-scale composting absent of little environmental protection. And I'll just briefly touch upon that and try not to be too long, sir, and members of the commission. For all too many years, the town of Dartmouth Health Department has faced numerous outcry from residents about composting, particularly odor. Odor would invade their homes, their neighborhoods. But beginning around 2017, our focus shifted because we started to observe tree kill, ponding leachate, growing green algae. We started to put pieces of this equation together to say, there's a bigger environmental impact in our air, and that's to our water. So we were able to conduct some testing, and we further sought out abilities to conduct testing. So far, all of the limited tests that we have conducted, and I believe that to largely be the only tests that have been conducted about the impacts of composting on our coastal estuaries, because I recently served DEP with a records request and found that as of at least about a month ago, there still has not been any testing at composting sites for nutrient discharge, is that they are creating pollution to our estuaries through contributing total nitrogen to the upgradient watershed. What the petition really in brief looks to do is to bring parity to Massachusetts with composting regulations in other states, most notably Maryland. And what we're asking for in those draft regulations are environmental controls, some sort of oversight, whether it be third party and or state, and monitoring like we would ordinarily expect at our Crapo Hill landfill. That is a lined solid waste disposal site with leachate collection that discharges to a sewer, where we're asking for monitoring to be assured that there are no impacts to the underlying groundwater and the down gradient watershed. So that's, really trying to put it as briefly as possible. Happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
I have a couple of questions, Chris. Thank you very much for joining us today. I do appreciate it. This is very important for the town of Dartmouth. And it does, since all the stuff eventually does roll in from the water, from the land into the sea, we're very much cognizant of that. What specifically have you got for baseline monitoring now, and where are you monitoring in the tidal waters of Dartmouth, Chris?
Thank you, sir. So where we've conducted testing is with the leachate. We've tested the leachate that comes off these piles. So we test the immediate vicinity because, like anything else, that a watershed is a highly complex system.
Oh, we know, yes.
And, we have several of them in Dartmouth. And, to test the down gradient waters, we're looking at the composite of all of those sources of total nitrogen impacting our estuaries. Now, that is another situation that we're focused on, you may have heard about, where the select board did provide some funding, and we'll be reaching out to various stakeholders over the next, 75 days as we develop, almost like a ad hoc department plan to address the spending of that money, and then circle back to those stakeholders in a group at the end of those 70, sometime maybe in day 100, to say this is what we're planning. So that's going to be the real far end downstream where we get all those sources of total nitrogen from impervious areas, pet waste, septic systems, fertilizers, agriculture, and composting. But where we have tested with composting, we have seen numbers that are off the charts. Not only at the foot of the pile where leachate will exude out of those windrows, but also in standing water down gradient. We've tested standing water wetlands, and we've tested ponds that have received the discharges. And we are also aware of a significant enforcement order that the Conservation Commission issued against the property owner that was a victim, but the way in which regulations work, you go after the owner, where the leachate from one compost site flowed into another, resulted in a massive tree kill in the bordering vegetated wetland, which was a violation, and the downgradient owner was subject to the unfortunateness of that violation.
Chris, are you aware that the town of Dartmouth has an ongoing monitoring program in the harbor? We're doing the specifically the flow out of the New Bedford Zoo coming down into the Apponeganset upper harbor. And we've been monitoring now for collecting data for what, 2 years now, Andrea, right? 3 years, I guess.
Going
it's a
into our
5-year
third.
program.
Yeah, going into our
Yes.
third. That's
Third
the Buzzards Bay Coalition
Right.
federal 5-year grant, Chris.
Right.
I'd like to say, Chris, I read your proposal and your memo. It's excellent. It's very well thought through, and it lays it out it lays out some very dense material in a very, very succinct way. I applaud any effort that the town has through its administrators to focus on where are our real sources, so we could have real solutions to the problem rather than just a shotgun blast that will probably solve nothing. So I thought it was very well done, and I thought it made people understand the impact. I mean, it only stands to reason that if you concentrate a bunch of organic material in one spot and it decomposes, that it's going to have a much higher impact than a bunch of waste or whatever that's spread out over the whole town. So I applaud at least trying to take the major sources and put some kind of a corral around them, or at least understand what their environmental impacts are to our water system.
Yes, Andrea.
Thanks, TJ. I was talking with Steve Mello and Roger a while back about the Waterways mission, and it does, the way it's written, it does give us the ability to address, to make advisory recommendations on all tidal waters in Dartmouth. So it stands to reason that if you want to have a good marine economy, you have to have solid water quality. You have to have good water quality, and the water comes from our upland sources through our surface waters. So the issue that Chris is raising is I think in the Slocum River, where obviously tidal. But the DEP missed the commercial composting operations when they did a water quality assessment of the Slocum's River watershed, and so they put a great deal of emphasis on other sources without recognizing what effect these commercial composting facilities have. So I also applaud Chris's effort. I would really very much appreciate if Waterways took a more global view of our waters in Dartmouth. I think we've got a pretty good handle on our moorings, and I think we can do more. So I hope you all agree.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. I think this is very important, Chris, because we do monitor the bay with the Coalition of Buzzards Bay, and we do want to maintain a good baseline and also understand how we can improve that water quality for the Uponiganset area and the harbor so that people can go swimming and boating and shellfishing and keep that very valuable economic engine going down here in South Dartmouth. So I read it too. I agree. It's wonderfully done. And that's high praise coming from our esteemed lawyer over here that you have a good document. Boy, oh boy. A+, see the teacher. What would you like us to do, Chris? What is your ask for today?
You're muted, Chris.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So, just want to back up 1 second, if that's okay. I am aware of that existing testing that is occurring in the Buttonwood Brook subwatershed to Uponiganset, as well as the ongoing efforts with Buzzards Bay. And Buzzards Bay will be part of the stakeholders that we meet with over the next 60 to 75 days. So as for the petition, what I am here to do today is to answer any questions about the petition. If the Waterways Commission if any of the members have an interest in voting for it, what we would do is include a signature sheet if the board or any of the members wanted to be part of the town efforts to request DEP to revisit those regulations that we have seen harm here to our watersheds in Dartmouth from composting.
Okay.
And only to regulate it, but not restrict it out of existence.
Okay. So I guess then, is there any other questions for Chris? And then I guess I'll ask for a vote to, if anybody wishes to sign this particular petition.
I think Roger, what he's asking for is can he have an endorsement from Waterways on it, right, Chris?
Okay, so then I'll call for a vote. I'm all in favor of this, and
It would be from the group of us,
Yeah.
under the banner of Waterways.
yes. So
I'll make a
entertain
motion.
I'll entertain a motion in a second for that very thing, TJ.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to support the petition for upgrading the DEP solid waste regulations. I would like our signature page to recognize that we're concerned with the water quality impacts to our surface and tidal waters.
I'll second
Right.
that.
Right. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, I think it's important that they all understand that all that stuff that originates up in uplands does flow down eventually into our lovely waterways. So thank you for that motion. Any other discussion? Then let's do a vote for this. I saw Andy had to scoot off, but
Eli's here.
oh, Eli's here. Good. Okay, great. I'll start with you. Eli, are you in favor of this?
I am.
Yes. TJ,
Yes.
Andrea,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
and Andy had to jump off, but I know he is in favor. I'm in favor of it. So we could say that we are unanimous, Chris, in the Waterways will support your endeavors.
Thank you. So the only thing that we would ask is that if we could just, either if I got a copy of your letterhead, I could prepare the signature page, or if someone else prepares the signature page, and then to have those members sign it, and then provide it here to the Board of Health. And next week, we're just waiting on the planning board to see what the outcome of their consideration will be.
Okay. If you have a planning board by then, we know.
Can we can we have the chairman sign for us and have all our names listed?
I think that would be just as meaningful.
Yeah, I think so too. When do you need this, Chris? Today's the 10th.
So the planning board will meet next Monday and they'll be virtual. So I imagine that it's going to take a number of days thereafter to assemble a signature page So unless their chair does the same, where on behalf of a vote of the board on such and such a date, the chair signs.
Okay.
You know, so, you know, the
Let's-
next week and a half.
Okay, thank you. Andrea, how about you and I create our own signature page and then I can sign it and bring it up to town hall? Would you, so you get the original, Chris, something like that?
Thank you,
Roger.
sir.
I can send you the Waterways letterhead. I think I
Thank you.
have it here. If not, I'll do it from the office tomorrow.
Great. Yeah, we'll create that signature page. We'll write that up and I will sign it and then we will get it. I will physically bring it up to you, Chris, at town hall, probably on the 18th of December. How does that sound?
That works. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for all your effort. We do appreciate it. We appreciate it very much for stopping by. So,
Thank
Thank
you
you,
for having
Chris.
me. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you, Chris.
Have a good night.
All right, next on the agenda, Steve, is number 4, Marina Town Dock Expansion Update. How you doing?
Well, that float we took was important for Patrick to get moving on the dock float construction.
Good.
And every week I ask him about mobilization and when is the crew going to show up. It was October 1st. It was November 1st. It was the week of Thanksgiving. Now I'm told it's going to be the week of December 23rd, which is Christmas week.
Mhm.
So we'll see. But he's not worried. He told me not to be worried.
Okay,
We're still within the window, the spotted salamanders or whatever. So,
okay.
anywho,
Well, they're the trained professionals and they
Yeah.
do this stuff all the time. So if he says we're good, we're in good shape. So that's great.
so I'm hearing from a lot of people to stop worrying about things. So I'm starting to believe that I can do that. Stop worrying about it. Let the
Okay.
professionals take over. Let's see, what else do we have? The floats are all out. If you go down there, you've probably seen that Pioneer has removed all of the floats. There've been some change orders, which I sent out to everybody. Taking out the floats was important so that we could get into the meat of the dock. And anyway, they found a need to replace cross bracing. They've got, I think pretty much any contingency funding that we had has been consumed by the change orders. And
Right, but it's going to be a much better, new, improved, well put together
Yeah.
dock, but when we get done, which I think is well worth spending that little extra buffer that we had, Steve.
And I thought that we were on, from the other stuff that I had read you sent, that it looked like we were on track with everything else, correct?
right, yeah, there's not.
We figured that there would be something. I mean, the cross bracing, we've got to do it. I mean, look at the pictures.
Yeah,
I,
there
Yeah.
wasn't much left. Yes, Kevin.
I think the fact that we'll have dinghy space available on the floats will somewhat diminish the need of the racks potentially. So I think.
Yeah, that segues in. We probably should talk about that. The SEC did not invite us to Beacon Hill, thank God. I don't want to drive up there again, but we did not get picked for the SEC grant. Steve, do you want me to reach out to Buddy Baker Smith and say we were not chosen, therefore ergo we do
I need
not
to be
wish to?
I need to be in touch with him on all the other grants that we have open with him and do
Oh,
the
okay.
3-month
Okay.
reporting. It's probably due. I don't know. I've lost track of time.
Is,
But
Yes,
I-
Kevin.
is it possible that we could ask for that grant money that CPC put out without the SEC grant, kind of amend it, and that would allow us to potentially do some work on the dinghy racks with their copay?
If you wanted to find out if the copay could be turned into a repair, I don't know. I don't know what the policy is on changing a grant. There's a
Yeah.
contract, so I tend to doubt it. I mean,
Yeah,
they're getting real fancy now with this stuff. You have to sign your life away.
he did make it very clear in that contract, they would give us money only if we got the SEC thing.
Yeah.
Although we could ask and
Never
say,
hurts to ask.
never, you don't ask, you don't know, but,
mean, It's
I wouldn't
then,
count on it either. I would think it would be, I think the better part of Valor is to work on our new expansion, which we're doing. And then next year, start saving up to just pay for it ourselves, Kevin. Probably that's the best way.
Mhm.
Or we have too many coals or whatever, pokes in the fire. And as we start knocking off projects, we rise up on the desirability scale with SEC.
And
For the
that's
next
what I
go
think
round.
happened, yeah. Too many grants outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, we've got the Marina project. We've got the survey or study or whatever McGinnis had in mind for Pontiac Point. Ditto for Rogers Street.
That's
And
true.
I don't even know what else we have.
Dredging, the dredging.
Yeah, the dredging. Yep.
honestly, we made a lot of progress.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing good. I'm not totally upset that we lost this little one. We can always do something. And as you point out, Kevin, we're going to have a bunch of dinghy space, a lot of dinghies, a lot of dinghy space that's going to be very desirable, I think. And to that end, with this new software, Steve, do you want me to reach out to Randy and those guys? As I talked to them early on, they seem to think that they could put in a hook, if you will, or a part of the software for putting your name in for the getting space on the dock. As I remember. Yes, Kevin.
We need,
Go ahead, Steve, I'm sorry.
we need to get a placeholder for dinghy slip and marina slip allocation.
Right.
And we probably would need some method for a separate waiting list for people that want to be in a dinghy rack or in the marina. I never
Right.
wanted a separate waiting list for the dinghy racks because there was just too much going on. But at this point, every year we do like a, mad dash after April 1st. Send in your request and we'll allocate it per year. But I guess when we do it for the marina, we should do it for the dinghies. And yeah.
Yes, Kevin, go right ahead.
I had a meeting with Jessica. I happened to be signing the tax rate for the fire department the other day. And Jessica said that Randy has kind of got that ball in his court, that the list that Donna so adequately provided with Steve's help has now been turned over to Randy. And as soon as he gets the property tax bills organized, he's supposed to work to generate that information into some direct billing to get our boat excise taxes collected. So,
Oh, joy.
well,
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Questions.
I think
Two
that-
questions. Who's
on
Randy?
Jessica. We did quite a lot of work to get to that point, and we just don't want to say that, well, it's on Randy's desk. So, Roger, if you're in touch with Randy, you might pour a little salt on that also and make sure that that's proceeding, because we gave it a very fast and early effort to get all that information to them. So we don't want that to die on the vine. And
Right.
that's money that we can use toward dinghy racks and other waterways expenses. So
I know we got stiff for $42,000. So
it's still available. It's just a matter of getting the stamps on it, and out they go. So talk to Randy. I understand it's in his.
I'll be happy
Make
to.
it this right.
Who's
We are
Randy?
looking at a future developer of software database that we don't even have yet to produce the results to get us excise tax that was due last year.
Randy claims that he can link that list that he has into his billing.
Okay. And we still are working on fiscal year 25 boat excise. But for some reason, I just can't put it on the front burner since the fiscal year 24 hasn't been done yet. So
I agree.
anyway,
Can just for the minutes, can you clarify who's Randy and
Randy-
what and
Randy.
which year are the tax bills for the excise tax?
Randy Kilman, Kilmon, he is the lead on the mooring database company.
Okay.
And we're still, I guess, hopeful for fiscal year 24 excise bills, which were incurred during the boating season of 2023.
Try to keep up.
Can you do 24 and 25 at the same time?
I don't think so. And
Okay.
I don't think we can go back as far as the 23 season, but I don't know. I'm letting the experts deal with that.
The 23 season.
Yeah.
Well,
23 season.
the fiscal year ends June 30th.
Right. So on July 1st, I report all the boats that were in the harbor on July 1st, 2023. Those boats
Oh.
have to pay an excise tax bill for fiscal year 24.
Oh, so it's always a year back.
Yes,
Behind
Yes.
us.
Okay.
that's normal, the way we do it, Andrea.
Okay.
But to answer your question, Randy and his company seem very willing to work with us. And since this is actually, this is very analogous to the Marion dinghy storage marina that Marion created. And since he's already done Marion's, I was going to ask him, can we have a page or a place where we could have this, sign up for it or whatever? I'll talk to him and do that. So I'll take that as an action and then report back. I think all of this is, you could give preference to Dartmouth people. You could have a lottery, first come, first serve. And
When do we, Roger, if you don't mind me asking, when do we anticipate being functional?
oh, I think you're on track, TJ. I think this is going to go very quickly when they actually put the poles out and build the floats. And I think I see this spring for sure. It'll be just as we had said. It's going to be the year
My only
2025.
worry is, you're going to have an overlap year, I think, because basically, by the time we'll know this is up and running, it'll be into the boating season, I bet, are pretty close. Therefore, people will have not want to give up if they come off of a lottery and we promise them a spot and we run into some unforeseen problem. They've now given up their other spot, so they're going to have we're going to have a straddle year which will be 25 on this project, because if we don't open it on time, then people aren't going to have a place to put their boats who might have already had a place but don't want to have two places in the same harbor.
It's the
Right.
same problem I have with moorings. People give up their moorings at the end of a season, which usually means when they get the bill for the next season, they bother to tell me then they don't need their mooring. I offer it to the next person on the list who's already paid for a slip or taken a mooring somewhere else or paid for commercial mooring in Dartmouth. It's a perpetual problem.
So whatever we release, we need to say that these are estimate dates. Don't materially change your position until the facility is fully functional and open.
Well, we could certainly put that in there. I agree, TJ. There should be a caveat that goes, this is a brand new facility. We're building it. Things happen.
Right, build a suit and things happen.
But I'd love to get it out there early, say this winter, and with some kind of hyperlink or web or on our site so that people could put in their placeholder and say, it doesn't cost you anything. Just let us know you'd like a dinghy spot.
I mean, maybe that's something we should discuss too quickly. Is maybe it should have like Steve has a fee to be on the wait list.
Yes.
Just to make sure that we don't wind up with 10 people in one family, everybody putting in a request at the same time.
Nobody uses it.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Well, it's a law of unintended consequences. Everybody doesn't behave the way you think they're going to behave. So you basically, I mean, maybe we need to talk about it a little bit more. I'd say we limit it to one household or something along those lines. You don't want husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, sisters and sisters, everybody with the same boat, putting something in, hoping they get it and flooding the system.
Well, don't you think a holding placeholder token fee, $20, wouldn't that sort of solve that problem?
I think we cut down on people just signing up. It's got to be probably a little bit more than that. So it's
I think a little more, yeah.
More, okay. What would you suggest? $50?
Our mooring waiting list is 15 and has been 15 since the beginning of the waiting list. And I can't tell you how many people will be on it for years, decades. And they come to the top of the list and I offer a mooring and they're like, nah, never mind.
I sold the boat years ago.
I decided, but you stay on the waiting list and you pay $15. It's like a gym membership that you forgot you had.
The waiting system will work fine after 25. It will be the lottery system is something that needs to have some controls to it. Because like I said, if you have a lottery, you're going to have everybody buying a ticket for it that might not necessarily want it, or or is involved in the same group of people who share the same boat. I'm not saying there's anything nefarious about this. It's just human nature.
Right.
Well,
Right.
and if we're talking dinghies, dinghies are, you may only have one boat in a family, but if you're talking kayaks, you could have more than one in a
Sure.
family.
But you don't want one family to have all the racks, basically. So you limited it to one person, and you say that you have to have a duly registered vessel or something along those lines to be put on the list or something along. I don't know. I don't try not to make this too complex. It's just a thought I had. Doesn't need to be developed anymore at this meeting, but something that should be in the back of our minds as we actually do get closer to implementing this.
Well, those are good ideas, TJ. Let me talk it over with Randy and see what they did in Marion, because that is, I do believe it's a limited number of slips, and they must do the exact same thing. You have to be a Marion resident and all that good stuff.
Sign up and you do it. You have to have a registered boat or something along, or I don't know what you do with kayaks. To Andrea's point, I don't know. The more you dig in it, the more confusing it could get too.
Yeah.
That's lawyer talk.
No, I know, but he's TJ. You have a
I
great.
always tell people, you can dream
I
for free.
hadn't thought this is really, oh, what a tangled web we weave. We built a dock. Oh God, people are going to show up.
Well, but
We love you,
Steve,
TJ.
Steve, you've been dealing with this already and so you might have some sense of how to smoothly sail through
Yeah.
this.
I thought I did, but honestly, I don't know, because just when I think I've got things figured out, as they say in the movies, as expected, a surprise witness.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. Something happens that I should have anticipated but didn't. A lottery is great, but I don't know how to run a lottery. I mean, is it a bingo ball? Is it something that's done on the computer by number? I have no idea what is a valid lottery in these days. I just know that if I enrolled in a lottery, I would lose. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. And the first question is going to be, how much are they? I don't know. I mean,
That's what I was just going to say too.
Yeah.
We don't even know what.
and if we go the route of what will the market bear, then we're going to become a little bit too exclusive, and no longer will we be equal access for all boaters. It'll be, if you can afford it, you can have it, which would be great for our revenue, but that's not what we're all about. So I
Well,
don't want to price.
we know exactly what Davison Trip charges. We know exactly what South Wharf charges. We know what, well, if you're a member of the yacht club, we know what they charge. So I think we have a very good handle on what the market is charging now.
Right. But this was paid for with public funds, so we have to be cognizant of that.
Right.
Private industry pays for and charges based on, they're paying for their own work. They're paying for their own product.
Yes,
So-
Kevin.
I think TJ's point about the first year getting this organized is more the problem. The rest of it will just fall into place once the marina is actually up and we know exactly.
It will
what's
flow like the wait list on the moorings. It just flows. I mean, is anything perfect? No.
This is just a little preemptive.
But it works. I mean, it works. And it works
Sure.
properly.
This is just a little.
This will work out. It's just that we've got to just think of how to hit Steve's point, how we're going to initially open this thing.
Right.
And
I've had more people come up to the office, just cold call, I'd like a spot at the new marina. And I look at them and say, well, which spot would you like? And they question me. It's not built. We don't know. How can I assign you to a spot that doesn't yet exist?
just change the design.
How much are you willing to pay for the spot that doesn't exist? Because we haven't made up the price yet.
Well, that's
And
my
I-
very point. Do we keep it? We know what everybody else is charging. Do we charge below that? Or do we charge the same as that or a little bit more than that? That's a question.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm cognizant of the public funding part of it, but I also know the demand is going to be there, and at least we think it's going to be there.
I don't think it would be outrageous to be I think Roger, you made the point most people's fees are commensurate with their expenses to run the operation. And I think for this isn't because public money helped build it. It isn't free to the public. There's nearest I can figure in the Commonwealth, there's nothing free to the public that the taxpayers pay for. You know,
No, you're
so
absolutely right on the money there, TJ. So I guess I would propose we keep it sort of the average of the same for dinghies that TJ, you know, and I know what it costs to pull a dinghy up on South Wharf or Davison Trip. We know what it is for a slip at Davison Trip or South Wharf, and keep it about the same as that. Would that be a fair statement?
charge you to go to the beach. I mean, honestly, it's like the beach was free originally.
Some still are. It depends on where you go.
All right, on
TJ,
that
you-
note,
you're aware that, there's also you incur the liability. Massachusetts case, which escapes me right now, but we certainly can't afford to do it for free. So we do have to charge. We have to
No.
charge enough for expenses and for the insurance that we're going to have to carry because we have exposure.
So that's on your list there, Steve. That's a great question. Are we going to have to get specific insurance for this new marina for small boats?
At the very least, we need to present this to our insurance provider, whether it's the local, and that's gone through a change too. It was it's Kevin Rocha, basically, that was our rep. I don't know if he still is, because insurance companies are getting bought and sold.
Right.
So
we at
travel,
the minimum, I think we'll need a rider
Right.
typically endorsing this project. I mean, honestly, I think I don't know. You'd have to ask town council on that because that's the interplay of the sovereign and all the associated protections there are in the law against for the states,
Right.
municipalities by proxy.
Right.
yeah.
And just one thought relative to the private dinghy costs. You probably should check out what services they provide relative to the services that we would provide, so
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
we don't.
Parking
We're
sold
probably
separately.
gonna provide less.
Well,
Good
you can
point.
provide exactly the same and you're gonna go find your own parking. That's gonna be the kicker.
Some marinas have attendants that run around in red shirts and pump out after a rainstorm. I don't think we're going to be able to do that. But
It's
You
called
know,
the drain plug.
yeah,
Anyway,
Runs a dinghy spot, right? Town dinghy spot. It's been a while since I've been in that harbor. Down around the main pier, isn't that their dinghy spot? Or is it all private there?
in Marion.
Yeah.
Marion has it around the harbor master office, which has just been rebuilt, and they have an area they call the old landing further north in the harbor. I believe
it's as
that's
private, it's as private as you can get. There's a 50-year waiting list,
I
TJ.
mean, maybe we can pick their brain on how they do it, just to kind of for a little community cooperation with each other.
Well,
Well, I hope-
Randy's doing their software, so that's why I wanted to talk to Randy about how they're working it out, how they do it, and he seems to be in the weeds with all this stuff. So I'll give him a call.
And I spent the early part of the week helping with their harbor management plan that they got approved and the presentation that the new harbor master had to make in Boston today. So yeah, a little reciprocity wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. Kevin, did you have a question?
Who are you to, Kev?
No.
No, I was just talking to my wife for a second,
Oh,
sorry.
Multitasking. Got it. So, Steve, you're going to talk to, is it town council or the insurance provider?
It's the town manager, the town administrator that deals with our insurance. The town council does not get in the weeds with policy like that.
Okay.
So
When are we going to have one of those?
I'm going to start with Gary because he's there and see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
Okay, Gary's
He's
great.
funny.
I would say just ask Gary and just say we want to let the town know we're going to have this extra space with dinghies and can we have a rider for, these are all small boats. It's not going to be, 45-foot big
Yep.
motorboats parked there.
How about an enter at your own risk sign and call it a day?
Yeah, if that worked, I'd have one on my property
I was just gonna say.
and I wouldn't need insurance, right? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's a
And so you will talk to Gary. I think that's a great first step.
unfortunately.
Actually, that'd be written on all of our uniform shirts. Abuse at your own risk.
There you go.
And we wouldn't need liability insurance. Okay,
All right. Any other questions on the new slip dinghy dock space?
nope.
Moving right along, we talked about the database. They're chugging along, right, Steve? As far as you know, it's
Yeah, I had an online meeting with them this week. They were looking at some of the. I couldn't tell you the difference between a file and a whatever, but when we do reports, when we write letters, when we do correspondence, is what I call it, and we save it to our server in our word processing side of things. Well, I guess it was understood that the server was going away, and where we save our documents, whether it be a letter or correspondence or an incident report or a photograph for evidence, they're looking at a way to put that in the database
right.
automatically, which I thought was more than was. Right now, we write what we need, we print it, mail it, we take a copy of it, and we attach it to our database. I don't see a problem doing that going forward, but they were looking for a way to make it all in one step. So
Right.
I'm learning what I don't know every day.
Well, no, Steve, what they want to do is put all of our data on the cloud and get it off your server, which is up in that little
Right.
lovely attic cubbyhole. And if God forbid something were to happen with your server, you'd lose everything, right? So this is all going to go and be totally saved.
So I think our cloud needs to have a section for letters that I write to conservation. That doesn't need to be in our database. It may
No.
have nothing to do with a waterways issue. It may be a dock that somebody wants to build in the Slocum River. They don't have a boat, they don't have a mooring, they're not associated with our office. I still have to do a letter
Right.
on whether the dock is appropriate and send it off to conservation. I don't see that as having any relationship to the database, but they're trying to figure out whether it should, or whether there should be a separate section on the cloud that is our current Z drive. And
Right.
from that, we can talk back and forth with the database.
Right.
So-
It'll just be a file on Concom, a file on, planning board, a file on whatever docs, and you could save all of that in the cloud. I think that's brilliant, Steve.
They were trying to have a meeting of the minds and I came unprepared, but we're working on it.
Well,
Yeah.
do you even want to talk about the clerical assistant, Steve?
Again, one step forward and two steps back. And Roger and I met with Gary and it was a go. And we would have worked with Denise, who is our personnel director, and we
Go,
sent
go.
something off to her. And as expected, she jumped off the bus. So the town is now looking for a new personnel director. And when we get one, then we'll resume that. But I've got enough stuff spinning that I can't fight that. We should put it out there. We should let the world know that we're looking for clerical help. And
Can we just put that on our own little website and just say, if anybody with clerical experience, you don't have to have voting experience, just, the Microsoft Office. Hello, we need your help.
I think
Because Gary gave us two thumbs up. He goes, go for it, man. He was all in. He goes, no department should not, everybody should have clerical help. Boy, oh boy, the
after
world
December
runs on
6th,
this.
after December 16th, we may have yet another town manager to be named. So, yeah, but I will work on the job description and get it out there and see what kind of interest we can bring.
Okay.
But they want continuity and they want succession planning. But every time you take a step, that step is pulled out from under you, or so it seems. But
Well, we did have a very good meeting with Gary, who was
Yes.
very enthusiastic. He was all in. He goes, whatever help you need, go ahead and get clerical help. And we'll figure out where to put them and do all this other stuff. So I
Sure.
think let's let the world know that we are looking for clerical help and he wanted it to be full time. He goes, I I think that that's very, very important to have a full-time person helping you guys out. You're a important department. Those are his words, so.
So, yeah, well, it's worth pursuing. I don't want to let it languish again because you never get back any ground that you gain. So
I know, it does seem like we do take 2 steps forward and then somebody quits, and then it's 2 steps forward to the side and somebody quits, and then somebody.
One step forward is still progress, right?
yeah,
I guess. I feel like I'm drifting to leeward though, TJ. Oh, man. Anyway, I will take it in action to call Randy and keep that going. I think I'm very excited about that. That'll be good. If you could send me the letterhead, Steve, tomorrow, that'd be
Mhm.
great. And then Andrew and I'll create a cover page, and I'll wet. So yes, Kevin.
Let's just remind Randy that he's got to get us some money before we're going to give him some money.
Oh, right. No, that's true. He's
oh, I've got an invoice pending from him. I don't know what the status is on that, but I know that
yeah, he was real quick to throw that invoice in. That's for sure.
Okay, let's see. Let's get the product.
Yeah, I know. That's pay me now. Got it. Any other updates for you, Steve, that you wish to?
Yeah, real quickly, we got a big storm coming tomorrow. I've taken out the summer boats. So the pump out boat went to Westport last week and came back today, winterized,
Good.
and just about ready for service next year. The orange rescue boat, our new boat, went to Westport today, and that'll be serviced when they can do it, power washed, cleaned, winterized, service for next summer. And that'll come back and go hopefully inside the water department building on Chase Road. The winter whaler returned from New Bedford Bayline Marine last week and was in good service Saturday morning to deliver Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus to the yacht club, to the
I know.
village,
Good job. Good
and
job.
it went well. So that boat is in the water and ready to go. The fireboat is out. I'm basically the only one left should the proverbial turd hit the fan. And it sounds like tomorrow we're going to get 60-mile-an-hour winds out of the south, shifting to 40s out of the west. And I've moved the Christmas tree boat out of the pond and tied it to a cedar on the shore. I've tied down the buoy tree 3 different points the way I was taught so long ago. Hopefully that will not blow out of its base.
Where are we in the tide cycle? We're coming up on a new moon, right?
Yeah, it's going to be fairly high. They're not astronomical, but they're going to be on the high side, and they're hitting on the 4s, I believe. Was it the 3s? 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. I'd have to look at it again, but I calculated that storm will start at around 10 a.m. tomorrow, which should be at mid tide. Let me just take a quick look again. Yeah, it's on the 4s tonight. So 4 p.m., 4 a.m. Switching to the 5s for Thursday. So
Hopefully we'll be through by then.
Yeah.
Moving pretty fast, actually. So
Yeah. Well, good job, Steve. You got all the boats out really, and we're in good shape. So
yeah,
you've battened down the hatches and secured everything. So I think you've done everything correctly.
we always find out Monday morning, right?
Well, when stuff goes flying by, you'll know. Well, actually, Kevin will see the buoy tree go by his house at a rapid rate.
that thing's like Lazarus.
The good thing is it's surrounded by buoys and they all float.
I was going to say it's not going to
Some
sink.
of the nastiest winter storms I've seen.
Oh yeah. And I will say this Friday night ceremony was the biggest of the 4 years. It was great. It grows more every year, and it's amazing.
It is. It was good. It was good.
I really think the town was everybody seemed to be enjoying themselves, and the town was showing its best side.
Yeah.
It surprises me that it's still largely ignored on a town-wide basis, but there were at least 10 times more people there Friday than there were at the tree lighting at Town Hall on Saturday. But
I think everybody really likes coming down to the village. It's all lit up. The tree is beautiful. The Maritime Center is a nice place to just stop and sit and look. I think we've done a lot of good things for the town, and it's showing off now very well.
A lot of children too, which was nice to see,
Yeah.
you know.
So anyhow, and we did get mentioned in the thank yous beforehand, before the lighting, which was nice.
Yeah.
And I try to do what I can do without going, into the pockets, but at least the stuff that I can do on my own, I do, and it's worth it.
It is.
If
Thank you,
not,
Steve.
if for nothing more than to see it in my daughter's eyes, it's
There
worth
you go. You'll get paid back later, trust me.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, very good. Well, thank you, Steve, for all you've done. There's no public for public. Anybody else have any comments before we schedule the next meeting and wrap this up? Nope.
Nope.
Steve, in January, do you have an idea what your schedule is going to be? Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin, yes, you.
In looking forward to the next meeting, I think it would be important to have the meeting very shortly after the mobilization is supposed to start over there, and that's going to give us an indication. If they do start Christmas week, then maybe almost right away in January, we should put together a protocol as to how we're going to handle that. And if it's delayed, then we'll know that, okay, there may be problems. But if this latest promise is going to be the week of Christmas, then I think we should get on it in early January.
Okay.
Well, if they mobilize the week of Christmas, I don't think we're going to see much results by the first week in January.
Right. I don't mean the results, but at least we know that they're ready to start on the project.
Where
We
they're
don't
on
even know-
schedule. What you're saying, whether they're doing it correctly, right? Kev? I'm all for that. January 7th is are Tuesdays still okay for you, Steve?
Yeah, Tuesdays are fine.
Roger, I'm not going to be available for that one, but I am available on the 14th or the 21st.
Okay. You
Either
want to
one of
make
those
it,
work.
oh, the 14th is a
Either one
Tuesday?
of those work, the 7th doesn't.
The 14th is a Tuesday. It's the day after Martin Luther King Day. So it doesn't matter to me. We'll have to post it earlier. That's all.
Martin Luther
What?
King is the 20th.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
later. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a week early. The 14th
Sorry.
is a Tuesday. There's no real holidays in there. And we will know more, Kevin, to your point. I think we'll have a good handle. We'll see what happens that
Right.
first full week of January.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this time good? I'll ask that again on Tuesdays.
What did,
Oh, we moved it to 4 for Eli. He did show up for a short time.
I know, and then he left.
he sent an email that he was available. He was online at noon.
Okay.
Hey, noon works for me too. Whatever you got.
Okay.
You guys are the volunteers, so.
Okay, I like noon. It's just this particular noon, I was driving 87 miles an hour in downtown Boston, but
I'm good either way.
how about noon, the 14th, Waterways, and we'll have more information at that time. And yeah, we'll go over, Kevin, go over and take a hard look at what they're doing there that first full week. I know for our business, we're shutting down that whole Christmas week, January. I mean, the first is on Wednesday, but everybody's blowing Thursday and Friday off. So
I don't think there's going to be a lot of people around in that period.
I'm talking to business. My business associates are going. We're not even going back to work until the 6th or 7th of January. So a lot of catching up to do then. So
And they've got to
14th at
mobilize,
noon.
and they've got to put equipment, and they're going to put materials. So
Yeah.
That's what they're going to be doing the first week or two.
Yep. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll all be revealed, and it'll be a real interesting indication of how I think they want to. Seems to me everything I've seen is they're very responsive and they want to get this done. I don't think this is a huge, big project for them. I think they want to get it done and get paid and get out and go on to other things. That's my read on it.
I think Patrick had mentioned that they need a low tide to get their barge under the bridge. So that's what they're, so that's what's coming up that Christmas week.
Yep.
Right. Right. Yeah, the new moon. Got it. Okay, well, unless there's any other questions, I'll say thank you.
Happy
very much.
holidays. Merry
Yes.
Christmas to all.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Merry
I hope
Christmas.
you have a great, happy, warm conditions with very little winds.
Let's say the 14th of January at 12 o'clock, right, Roger?
Yes.
12 o'clock. Yes, sir.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. I'll second that and say goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
See you
Thank
later.
you, Dartmouth TV. We love you.